Hey everybody, you're listening to the Combo Wombo podcast with Mr. Gimpy, and I'm Chipped Monk, your
What up, buddy?
host with the most. Just kicking it, bro. Living my best life out here. I finally was able to seize the day, as the kids say, and I got a Xbox Series S. So
All right,
they
carpe
were,
diem.
yeah, carp in the mouth or whatever, dude. Two,
Is that what it
two
is?
in the hand, yeah, dude. All that.
Gotcha.
Your fishing analogies, whatever, bro. I'm
It
there.
is.
Early
Fishing
worm
analogies.
gets the fish.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Second mouse gets the cheese. Everybody know
So,
that.
so with the Series S, did you get any physical game? Oh no, because it's all digital,
No,
right?
there's no
So,
disc with the Series
yeah,
S. That's the
that's
biggest
right.
difference. So hardware wise, it's basically the same as the X,
That was slightly
but
slower.
it that was the big but.
Okay.
The bubble butt is that it doesn't have the second V RAM on the graphics card for the
Yeah.
processing up to 4K. So you don't get any. It's not slower in the sense of like the gameplay or anything, but you're not going to get like 4K resolution on it.
Okay.
So they got rid of that, and then I'm assuming it's some sort of upscaler. I don't know what they're using, but
They
yeah,
tested upscaling with the Series X, actually, so that doesn't surprise me. Or not Series X, the Xbox One X. God damn, their naming conventions are so fucking bad.
it's trash, dude.
It's the Wii versus the Wii U all over again, and it's like Microsoft, you didn't fucking do your market research and see that this is a terrible naming idea. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like somebody was like, it's familiar. It's like, yeah, it's confusing, dude. I guess they assumed that they would discontinue all the, old Xboxes, so there'd only be the new thing
Yeah.
in the stores. So I got the S. The other big caveat is it doesn't have a disk drive, which I'm okay with. I live in a place with really good internet, and I feel like most games, like we talked about before, just kind of give you a code now
Yeah.
to download things. It's like a
Sure.
little scratch off. It's like a gift card at this point. I think like when I was walking down Target, so for Target is where I got it, and you had to order it online but pick up in person, and it's like a limit one per household type of situation. It sucks ass. Like I was already like kind of disappointed. I wanted an X. All right, I'm gonna be straight up
Yeah.
and
That's
down.
that's what I wanted. I'll share a story when you're done, but yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted the Series X, but those got sold out instantly, and I saw them that same day like on Craigslist for like $200 more. And I'm like, damn, do I just bite the bullet and just spend? And I was like, nah, fuck that, because the S is like $200 cheaper than the MSRP. So I was like, I'm just getting this S. I don't have to worry about it. I don't need to worry about getting robbed, because everyone's like, cash only. Meet me at the back parking lot of this like closed down Denny's. I'm like, I'm good, dude. They're like, don't try and lowball me. I know what I got here. It's a 1 gallon of gasoline and a fucking Xbox
I swear that's
Series.
some mob mentality shit of how they're selling these next gen consoles and video cards, I might add. But it's like, so when you were in your search for your Xbox, right? I was getting the notifications as well and trying to hit you up if I saw it or whatever. But you were on top.
I deployed a team of experts around the world to like let me know. I was on the Twitter accounts. I
Yeah.
was talking to Gimpy. I was like, Gimpy, hit me up if I had the professor. I had like a mile of text messages of people like, I heard there's one over here at Best Buy. It was like,
Steel Team 6 just doing all the research for you. So after you got the day you got yours, right? A notification popped for a Series X at the Target by me, and I'm like, oh shit. So I hit add to cart, I hit buy, right?
yeah.
Shit goes through, and as it goes through, there's like a hold on my card, and I drive up to Target. They're like, "Yeah, that was sold." I'm like, "What the fuck? This is some bullshit." So then I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So the big reason that I want the Series X is because the 4K Blu-ray capabilities. I don't have a 4K movie player right now, and that's like the big thing. Also, the just new console.
Do you own a library of Blu-rays and stuff?
Yes, I'm a big fan of, and also I like physical media, and I enjoy movies in general. My wife thinks I'm insane, but
There's something
I'm the
to it.
guy who buys the like 40th edition Criterion Collection Blu-ray, you know.
I
So
was pontificating about this the other day as I sat on my balcony looking out into the distance. Uh, that the library
you're about to. Okay.
finally got you
Okay.
to crack it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
All
Uh,
right.
the library is like the last place where you could get that rental feeling. Remember like renting stuff from like the
Like
hell is that?
Blockbuster,
Yeah,
Hollywood Video, all that.
Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring the kids to the library is what I'm saying. They got everything now. They got Blu-rays, DVDs, video games. They really
Yeah.
up their game at the library.
You
Like
can you can
it's
use a
not the
3D
public library
printer
in
too at a
America.
library. Yeah. Yeah. One of our mutual friends, Intoxicated Fable,
This
or
podcast is brought to you by the library.
right,
Also,
right.
like when you sign up for your library card, a lot of them, if you go on to their website, they have access to audiobooks, podcasts, courses on learning things. They have things to help you out with job applications, getting your shit together. The library, the library is really a public utility that
I,
I
I
feel not enough people are taking advantage of.
I think we swear too much for our podcast to be listed on the library stuff, right? Like we should tone it the
No,
hell down.
they're about freedom of speech. It's the library.
All right, right. The library it is. Combo
Yeah,
wombo.
libraries. Yeah, your local public library.
No, dude, you're
We
right.
need like a this is not endorsed by the
Yeah,
National
right.
Public Libraries Association at the bottom or something.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's me editing it, so I'll actually do it. So.
But yeah, like if like because there's no other game in town. Like if you want to get that experience again of like going somewhere to like rent out a game or like see, just browsing, being
Yeah,
able to browse things. Like I would
yeah,
say like the store, even like big box retailers, like their selections fucking suck now, dude. I was
yeah,
like looking at like what they have for Nintendo Switch and stuff, and I was like, there's like 8 of the newest games here, and then like a bunch of really old games
yeah.
that are in card format where you gotta punch in a little digit.
Yeah, yeah, but that's the main reason I want like the Series X is for the 4K because I think the Xbox One, where people shit on it for not having games, it really shined as a media player. Honestly, um, that's where the majority of my media comes from outside of the apps like integrated within the smart TV. Like the fact that you can put Kodi on it and run whatever, and I have a NAS in my storage room too that just serves up media all the time.
Do you
So it
have
works for me.
a surround sound system?
Yes, I do. Yep.
All right. No, I was just I was thinking about getting that like Dolby Digital Atmos system because like I saw
Yeah.
one on sale for like $200 and I was like, this is basically free. And it's like tiny speakers. But I
Yep.
have a tiny room. Like I don't need that shit to like be like banging. But like
Atmos is
for me,
incredibly impressive, by the way. I wasn't a believer at first. I'm a pretty big audio guy, and when I finally got into a proper setup for Atmos, the fact that it bounces sound off the ceiling actually works. It does well in showing elevation. So if you have media, Gears of War 5, which I know we'll get into a little bit because you played it on the Series S,
yeah,
supports Atmos in game, and it sounds fucking incredible.
yeah. It's like I know like the new Godzilla versus King Kong has like a good sound design
Mhm.
where it's made for like a big sweeping
Yeah,
theater.
yeah. I was watching when I watched that. It was incredible. Like, there's a very intense scene where King Kong just completely decks Godzilla, right? And it's like this
Yeah.
big slow mo punch, and like the
Spoilers.
reverb on it is incredible. So yeah, yeah. Uh, but yeah, I'll let you continue with your series.
No, now I can't stop thinking about the opposite of that of Godzilla trying to punch King Kong with his little arms.
With his little arms.
Yeah.
Godzilla whoops ass, dude. Godzilla's a shit. That tail whip. His arms are long enough to actually reach him. If you've seen the first like
Yeah.
American remake where
Classical
he
Godzilla has
rips the
just
Muto,
arms.
just yeah, good stuff.
Disgusting.
The other thing with the next
Yeah.
gen consoles, before I let you go, before I forget,
You just gave the ball back to me and now you're
I know,
taking
I know,
it.
I'm taking it again. I'm taking it again because I can't
You
stop.
didn't want to get a traveling call. So you're like, here's the ball. And I'm like,
Right.
I got it. And you're like, run with it. I'm like, what do I do? You're like, pass it back.
Pass it back. I'm shooting.
I got a
So
shot.
So as far as like games, there's nothing out on the Series S or X that I need that I don't have already on PC. But the PS5, I got. I was in the like online queue to buy it, and this was happening while I was at work. Then when I left work, I went to go pick up my kids, and the chime happened while I was driving. Right, and I'm like, but I was also listening to music, and I thought the chime was a part of the song. So when I got back home, it's like you took too long. I'm like, what the fuck? The only reason I want a PS5 right now is purely for the game Returnal. And our roguelike episode came out, and we were talking about we what's gonna change is a AAA roguelike release. It's happened, and it's on PS5, and it's Returnal, and it looks amazing. That is the right now the only reason
An
I want a PS5.
exclusive.
Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
Uh, yeah, I wanted to get a PS. I was between like the PS5 and the Xbox for me, and the design factor for me was like just that developer mode option, like in the Xbox S. I'm just gonna just call it Xbox. From this point on, like if I'm saying Xbox, it's the new Xbox Series S is what I have.
So much
Uh,
easier. Yeah.
yeah, it's just so you know, like it's just so it could just that was. I'm just gonna keep going back and forth trying to say like TM. I'm gonna add that to the end of it. Yeah, so they have like a developer mode. It's like $20. You unlock it on like their store, and like that allows you to import like any games and stuff you're working on. Or a lot of people are using it as like a perfect emulation machine. I guess it like has backwards compatibility. Like if you have the Game Pass, you can get 360 games. OG Xbox, we were playing Fusion Frenzy on there, dude.
Oh yeah.
Uh, with 4 people. It comes with only one controller, which is a problem because like you can't find these fucking controllers anywhere. So this is the only reason why I stepped into a disgusting, dirty department store was to get a controller. So I go in there and I'm like, I need a controller, and they're like, yeah, we got the elite controllers only. And I was like, well, how much are those? They're like $180. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? For 2 of these controllers, I could buy another system, dude. Like, that's stupid. Who decided the pricing on that shit, dude? Like, that's the dumbest. And my brother was like, well, does it have like cheats on it or something? Like, what's so great about it? He's like, I don't know, it's customizable or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. So we go down the street to where the GameStop used to be. And my bro's like, there's a GameStop here. I'm like, that got destroyed during the mostly peaceful protest, bro. And so like we head out to the other side of town. He was like, for real? I was like, yeah. And he like looks, he's like, it looks kind of convenient. Like the whole area they destroyed is kind of right by where they wanted to build stuff. And I was like, it is pretty convenient. Almost like it was like a insurance scam. Like we keep going. We hit up this other Target. We get one controller there. They only had one. And then we keep going and we get to the GameStop. Shout out to GameStops, all the people out there diamond handing it with Game Stonks.
Right.
Uh, and I get in there and this motherfucker just starts reminiscing. I'm like, yeah, I got the new Xbox. I need some controllers. He's like, oh man, you should have been here last Friday. We had like 15 of them, bro. It was nuts. And I was like, yeah, but do you have any right now? He's like, nah, dude. And I was like, damn. He was like, the Xbox One controllers work with it though. The Xbox One controllers do. He's like, it's the first time ever you can use the old controller with the new. And I was like, bro, I tried to plug in my USB Xbox 360 controllers, and that shit did not work. It broke the Xbox, dude. I plug them in. Uh, it's USB. I plug them in. I try and start Halo. It just gives me a black screen. I had to like hard reset the entire system, start it up. It gives me another black screen. So I had to like, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I bet it's these controllers, guys. So I unplug the controllers, restart the system again, starts going, everything's fine. I plug it back in an Xbox 360 controller, fucking breaks it again. And I was like, I guess it's not compatible with these.
You said Xbox One though.
Yeah. So I buy 2 Xbox One controllers from this gentleman. I head back home because I'm trying to play my Fusion Frenzy with the homies. Uh, I get home, I plug in the Xbox One controllers, those work just fine. I start up the Xbox, the new Xbox controller. Uh, Everyone's hyped, right? We plug in the first two, like, oh, player 2, we're in, player 3, we're in. I'm like, all right, I got player 4. I hook it up. It's like, we need to download a new driver for your controller. And it's like starts downloading an update for the controller. And I was like, this is fucking stupid. Why would they need to do this? And then I found out it's actually pretty fucking genius. So it downloads like your profile and shit
Yep.
to that controller, like all your preferences. So like if you have your controller, you can go to anybody else who has an Xbox and just plug
Yep.
in yours and be ready to go. Which
Yep.
also makes it like a great idea and a horrible idea because now your shit could get stolen like super easy.
It's just your controller settings though.
Is it?
Um,
It doesn't have like a game set. It said like your
no.
profile is my understanding.
Your controller has a unique ID. So I mean, if you're on a new console, it's not just so if you turn it on a new console at like your buddy's house, you have to relog into your actual profile, but it'll be your settings. So if you don't log into your actual profile, it'll actually be your controller settings. So there's a little bit of security there.
It's a little
Uh,
bit of some.
yeah, also having firmware updates for controllers on the actual device is actually pretty great. I feel because if something's wonky with the controller, like uh, like this is a OG Xbox One controller, and it had firmware
I didn't know we were
updates to
doing
where
a
you
show and
can
tell. I would have brought my
yeah,
new
right.
controllers.
I just have it in front of me. I have a PS4 controller somewhere over here too, but
No
uh,
big deal.
it has firmware on it, so you could actually adjust like what button presses what. Like A doesn't have to be A; it could be X if I wanted it to. It's like Microsoft's really big on accessibility settings right now. So every controller that you have on the Xbox family, you can remap to whatever the hell. I've seen people with like disabilities where. This guy was using like a straw or something, and he was like breathing like it's different points, and it was using the Xbox adaptive controller to where he could like play fucking Forza like just fine. So with that push, it actually did really good things, and I feel having firmware updates and things like that for future support is actually a great thing.
Yeah, it seems like so basic and like it should have always just been there. Like that's the one thing that doesn't make sense to me is like the USB 360 controllers. I'm like this should just work as well. Like it's a USB device, it's a Microsoft device, like it's a fucking controller. Like it's just have it work. Like what the fuck is wrong with you? Like just nerf it a little bit or something. But like if people already have these controllers like me who like because I use a Xbox 360 controller on my PC for game dev, where I'm like, oh, let me map like controllers and stuff to this, and like try and play with a controller on this, and it works fine there. But like, and I'm pretty sure like all the inputs are also the same, like for a
Yeah,
developer standpoint, where uh, yeah, but
they're
like
even named the same.
I think like customizability wise, I've always been like a basic default gamer type of person where like everything defaults like fine for me. I didn't realize like how much customizability there was until we tried to get into Halo, like the Master Chief collection on there. And so it's like I invited a bunch of people over. Uh, it's a super spreader event. Like, and we're all trying to play Halo, the new MC, and like everybody was like, "Hold on, I got to pause. I got to change up my controllers." Somebody was like, "Do they still have boxing as a setting? I want to play boxer." Somebody was like, "I want to play inverted, inverted." I was like, "Isn't that just normal?" They're like, "No, no, it's a setting. Keep going, keep going." They're like, "This is bullshit." And like everyone's like, "I want the sensitivity all the way up on everything." And I'm like, "Who the fuck are you people? Who plays Halo like this?" Someone was like, "I want like my grenade button binded to like my melee button." And I'm like, "Why would you do that?" He's like, "It's like a martyrdom." And I'm like, "This is fucking crazy." Uh, so
uh,
yeah, like everybody has like their own like play preference, and like if you can just save that to a controller, like it saves so much time. But like I don't know, it took us like 5 minutes to get it all up and running, and it wasn't a big deal to just like do it old school style. And I like after that point, like after a few hours, like we're not gonna switch up, but I guess like I don't. It's weird because like if you're taking turns with a bunch of controllers, like nobody's gonna want to log out and log back into a different profile and stuff too. It's I don't know. It's a solution looking for a problem is kind of how I feel like it. It's nice to have like the customization options, but like most video games already have like those options. So it's like saving that as a preference is nice, but the game you're playing already does that for you. This is for some mythical child who's like going like trick or treating with his Xbox controller, and playing like he's doing like a round robin like in his cul-de-sac with all of his buddies, and they all have like their TV set up in their garages, and they're like running up and they're like playing a quick game of like NBA 2K, and then they like run to the next one. They're like, "Oh, if you lose, you got to run to the next house, bro." Like that's the only this is who this is made for. That impossible scenario that nobody's doing.
the
Uh,
when Halo 2 was new, I was that guy who had a controller in my backpack with a memory card ready to go at a moment's notice, whoever's house I'm at, 'cause everyone had that damn game and everyone wanted to play. So
That
I was
game.
that. That's me. That's teenage me who you're describing. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, like I said, it's meant for the youths. Old man me, who's just here on my Xbox as a living room novelty,
yeah,
it's not built for me, and I accept that. Like I said, like I think it's great. It's like a very small update. It's like barely an inconvenience, and like the upside outweighs like this minor awkward moment when you're all ready to play Halo, and like you're like, I got to download a controller update, guys. Hold on. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. Like we played the MC collection, that looked great. It played fine with 4 people split screen. We got into some Gears 5, but everybody like that I know doesn't like Gears for some reason. They didn't explain why. They're just like, I don't like it. I don't know how to play it. I don't want to learn. And I was like, we
that's
play
the main
zombie
thing.
mode.
That's the main
Yeah.
thing. People just don't want to learn. Uh, I don't like the first Gears because of gameplay. The second Gears is one of my favorite games ever. Gears 2
But
is
they were
amazing.
both fine. They're a little slow. Uh, but you kind of have to be with like the third person perspective
Yeah.
where like it's not as visceral and fast paced as like your Halos or your Call of Duties.
I'd
It's a
argue
little
that
bit,
that high level Gears is just as fast, just with
yeah,
the
for multiplayer. I'm saying
yeah.
like the game was kind of built around like a slow concept of like trudging through like the apocalypse wasteland. It's not meant to be like, oh, we're gonna run and gun this whole thing. It's like, no, like we're gonna go slow. It's gonna be jump scares. It's gonna be like shit happening.
Cover shooter.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit more of a thinking man shooter where like the reload mechanic where you have to have it timed. And if you miss that, like your gun jams up, it's to kind of give you that like, oh shit moment. You're like, oh, I'm about to kill this thing. Oh, my gun's jammed. Ah, I might die. And then you're like, wait, I got a chainsaw.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
that's what the whole game is. My gun is also a chainsaw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cliffy B coming in with the greatest ideas.
True. True. So you've had it for what, a week now? 2 weeks? The Series S?
Us, 2 weeks now. I played it only like the majority at that like party. I was like, I'm having an Xbox party, boys, come over.
Yeah.
And then the boys showed up and we played some Xbox. I brought about like that OG Mountain Dew, the throwback. Shout out to the throwback with the real sugar.
Nice. Nice.
About
So I was gonna say like my Xbox days, it would have
Code Red,
been
dude.
right. It would have been like for me
Bought some
Coke,
Doritos.
Doritos, and like System of a Down playing in the background, right? Just
Yeah,
like whatever. That's like every Halo event that I went to.
that was
Um,
the Halo event, dude.
yeah.
It was
So
it was solid.
what would you say are some highlights of the system, or what would you say some lowlights are outside of like the controller fiasco you had to deal
The
with?
game, I mean, it was barely. It's just kind of worth mentioning. It was like a fun.
Yeah.
It was like there's a bit of like egg on the face because everyone had been joking around about like updates before that. They're like, "Oh, can we play Halo? Or we're gonna have to update." I was like, "No, I download the updates. This should be fine." And then I plug in the controller. It's like you have to update the controller. I'm like, "Motherfucker!" Like I can't believe this shit.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I said like the dashboard's fucking lickety split. Like loading games is nuts. Jumping from game to game, like the boot up time's substantially fast. Like I think whatever they're keeping the watt at is probably like resting at like 7 or 8 watts because that boot up's insane. Uh, we're like I hit like start and then, like you're in the dashboard. They
Yeah.
cut all the bullshit of like here's the Xbox logo. There's like oh you know what you're fucking doing. It starts right up. It's like 2 3 seconds to like on screen. You're on the dash. You want to launch a game. It's like damn near instantaneous. It's like this solid state hard drives that they came with.
Yeah.
This is kind of the other downside of the S is like it only has like 500 gigabytes, and I basically filled that up with like Gears of War 5, Master Chief Collection, put Slay the Spire on there, and then I put like a few smaller games like Fusion Frenzy. We got Marvel versus Capcom on there, the new one,
Yeah.
uh, and like I would say that's kind of like a low light is the Marvel versus Capcom. Like everyone's a little like, oh, where's is Spider-Man in that game?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
who the
He's
fuck
an
was I
Infinite.
looking?
None of the X-Men are because of rights issues with
Yeah,
Disney
there's like a
stuff. So if
couple
you're looking for
different.
like, and none of the Fantastic Four characters, so no Doctor Doom in a fucking Marvel game.
Yeah, like
no,
everyone kind of
no
had like their one
Wolverine. Yeah,
character they like spent an inordinate amount of time looking for because like none of us played the new Infinite. So
yeah.
everyone was like, "Oh,
Don't
where's
worry, no one else
Juggernaut?
did
Where's it?"
either.
Yeah, it was. It's the perfect price of $1 with the Game Pass for 3 months.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Like I
yeah,
said,
the Game Pass coming with this like a nice, especially like the solid state.
yeah,
There's a lot of selection on there. I would say the huge downside is there's no next gen fucking games ready
yes.
for it. I would
For
say the
either
big
console, I might add,
yeah.
there's like outside of like one or two for the PS5, like Returnal I mentioned, and I feel like what there's like the pack-in game as well. But yeah, there's really nothing because everything else is on last gen too. But go on, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, price wise too. Like, if uh, I kind of like it because it has the developer mode and stuff, but so does the old Xbox One. So if you get like the Xbox One Series X, their Elite system or whatever, I was looking at those used for like 200, 230, if you can find them. But
Yeah.
that also has like a developer mode that comes with 4K. It has like I think a bigger hard drive. It's basically an in between from like the X and the S is like the old one X, which is weird, but nothing new will be supported or whatever. Like all the new games after, I have to assume like people like money, so they're probably going to keep putting it out. Like there's going to be multiple SKUs of every game. It's going to be kind of fucking a headache. Even like
So
the X and the S, like if you have to look at the game cartridge, is that the right word I'm looking for?
disc,
Disc
medium. Yeah.
box,
Go
the
ahead.
box.
Yeah.
Uh, if it just has an X, it only works with the X series. If it has an XS, it works with X and S series Xbox. So you have to be paying fucking close attention to what games work with what, which is fucking bullshit. Like you're saying, like making a good consumer experience and stuff. I think they need to make that XS like bigger and like explain more like what's going to work with what. They, this is a horrible like I know like this is the old man problem of like do your fucking market research before you go out and spend several $100s on like a piece of
Right.
electronic equipment.
Right.
uh but
Well, for you,
it's
you're just gonna buy everything online though, so you don't have to worry
yeah,
about that.
yeah, I'm not worried about it, but I can see that being a concern like if you're like a parent and like you're not really into like this video game shit and you're just like, oh, I just want to get the one where my kid can play the Fortnites or whatever. Like that's
Yeah.
everything. You can play it on everything. Don't let that kid trick you into getting him a new Xbox. They're a liar. Tell them to play it on their phone, on a Switch, on a PC. It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
I will say
It's
that
at the public library.
I think people forget because the last two console generations were so damn long that they forget
Yeah.
about new console launches. It's gonna be a minimum of a year and a half to 2 years before you get the true next gen games. Usually there's one launch title where people are all like, "Oh hell yeah, this looks great." This generation didn't have it, whether it was COVID, whether it was, just the fact that graphics have reached a point to where they're always going to look good.
Yeah.
Like what you're gonna get with next gen isn't some visual fidelity thing. It's not going from like 16-bit to 32-bit. It's not going from 32 to 64, from 64 to 128. You're not gonna have that thing where it's just mind blowing. You're visually where you're just like, whoa, we're never gonna get that again. What the
Man, I
true
think like a lot of this stuff's pretty fucking good looking. Like if you look at
yeah
like the 4K like Gears, the PlayStation 5 demo where they're showing like the Unreal Engine for it. Like they're using like Quixel, I think it's like the website where it's like real 3D environment scans, and they're throwing it in and it's like rendering all that shit in real time. With the ray tracing with the bounce lighting. That shit looks good, dude.
yeah
Uh but like you said, like all this stuff on the last gen stuff also looks pretty fucking good. Like this is an increase like we are saying before though, where it's like I feel like there's like a not realized moment of like this uncanny valley that's going to happen where people don't want to necessarily kill things that look real. Like
yeah
they had like that Unreal demo with the dog, And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, if that's like an attack dog, like I don't actually want to shoot like a dog that looks like a fucking dog, dude. Like you gotta give it like a little jank on there. You gotta make it like a mutant or a monster. Like I don't want to like shoot other people that look like fucking indistinguishable from other people.
Yeah.
Uh, which
Yeah.
is a, I don't, it's like a weird problem to have. It was like, oh, this shit looks too real. I know like some people, you know, don't care about that kind of stuff, but like, uh, this isn't my like video games are going to make you violent or anything like that. But like, it's me personally. Like, I don't want to like have like puppy murder simulator, where like the
Yeah.
dogs look real as fuck. But like, I wouldn't buy that game. So like, if anyone want, like, that's fine that if it gets made or whatever. But like, I'm thinking like, there's just like a weird, uh things look really good. It can look a lot better, but like, how much better do we really want? Like,
So
you know,
yeah, yeah. So I'm saying like the true next gen feel isn't going to be graphically, and I think we've been like, especially our generation has kind of been conditioned to look at it graphically and go, wow, that looks worth the purchase. Now it's things like
out
loading
of Voodoo
times.
3.
Yeah, right. It's like loading times, the SSD stuff, the Xbox that you have. Supporting an SSD, but PCs have supported that forever. What's keeping PC stuff from like advancing so much was the last gen consoles, because those are the base for 90% of the games that come out. So the reason why we have like still like see a loading screen is because of the last gen consoles. Now that consoles are using, you know, like the solid state drives, like the new ones that where it's just like lightning quick, um, you know, we'll see an advancement in the PC space now too. The other
You
thing
also
is
see like,
audio.
you also see like a lot of software side of people now using mathematics to like super crunch code to
Yeah.
make like things load a lot faster and like pop in. Like,
Yep.
there's been a lot of like great like mathematical breakthroughs for algorithms that allow like the processing of graphics faster.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
look at like a entity component system for like Unity, where it loads everything as an entity and it like uses mathematics to like generate out things. So like you can like see like their demos where it's like a scale city of real time of like all that stuff. You can look at like that Unreal demo for the PlayStation 5 where it's like it's loading in like 3D scan models in real time, like just fine.
Yep.
And like that's just really impressive. And it's like all math in the back end that
Yeah.
makes a lot of, you see like a AI support too for like upscaling and upresing or like faking like a lot of like post processing effects that wouldn't be possible before.
Yep.
You can see things with like the new GTX where they have like enough processing to do an overlay on your
Mhm.
game to
Yep.
do more
Yep.
post processing effects. So you
Yeah.
can like customize things even like crazier. Where like those effects are only accessible to like the developers like before they launch the game, and like now they're like, oh, now you can just do like a filter almost like a over
Yep.
the top of this.
Yep. Yep.
So
The other, and the thing is, like, lighting is kind of the tail end of last gen. Was the like lighting was a big thing, using like RTX lighting. Now AMD supports their own version of it.
yeah,
Having real time lighting, actually truly bouncing off of things, and the technology's gotten better. There and the hardware supporting it has gotten better as well, to where you're not taking as big of a performance hit. Like, one of the best looking games of last gen was Control. If you've ever seen Control with everything like pumped up and RTX turned on, that game looks phenomenal. And screenshots do not do it justice. Now, the next big thing that we're going to get for iteration and next gen, it's going to be, you know, 60 to 120 FPS, you know, lighting, just kind of
yeah.
supporting
And like
it.
you're saying, like
Um,
good sound. I
yep.
think it's the least considered because I think they look at the SKUs and
Yeah.
they see most people are pieces of shit like me who are just using like the TV speakers and that's
Yeah.
it. Where I'm like this guy doesn't have surround sound, he doesn't have a sound bar, he's not living his fucking best. Like this sounds like shit and you don't even realize it, sir. And I'm like, oh, I know this is fine. Like, don't you want to buy like a fucking bullshit Turtle Beach headset or something to at least have some improvement? I'm like, no, I'm good, dog. This is fine.
It hurts me internally. Like, there's a physical pain whenever I have to listen to like TV speakers, like
Oh,
just
so
the
tinny.
default. Oh yeah, yeah.
I
It's
never use
terrible.
my. I'm usually like on the headset. Like
Yeah.
on the. So I, like again, like I said, I've been dabbling. I've been looking at like a good sound system, but I'm like, why? And then I'm like, well, I have the Xbox, maybe I'll use it more now. And it's like, but like again, this is kind of like another old man type of fucking thing. Uh, when I was growing up, my mom would be like, turn that fucking shit down for the beeps and the boops with the NES and the SNES. Cause
Yeah,
like, your fucking Tetris things, but you're
yeah.
listening to that for like 3-4 hours, dude. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? I feel like that for all video games now. I don't know what it is. Like, I know like your hearing changes as you get older. I think maybe
Wow,
it's just because like the soundscapes. Maybe it's because I'm listening to it on a tinny
that's
uh
probably it.
TV, but whatever it is, where I'm just like, I'd rather be listening to like my own music or like that's the other crazy thing. I don't know. Maybe there's an option in like the Xbox, but I'm like, I need like a media overlay. To, like, just give me Pandora or like,
Spotify is
yeah,
supported
Spot,
across everything, so you should check that out.
yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll just put like Spotify on there so I can listen to like a good mix on there. Uh, I could put on
It'll be
my
tinny as
favorite.
hell because of your speakers, but yeah,
Yeah, but I can listen to the combo wombo while I play Slay the Spire or my Gears.
yep, yep.
Like Forza's sound designs, fucking horrible. I don't know who did the final pass on that, but they had a Dolby Atmos system, dude. Because like all I hear when I'm playing this shit on my tinny speakers is just like, and I'm just like, yeah, you have music in this game. I can't hear shit like coming out of like
Oh,
2 point, like
I'm
none
s-
of the, yeah. So like I had to like go into the options, turn down everything except for like the music to get like some semblance of a balance. It's still not there.
good
Like,
God, you got to play Forza on the surround sound system. That game has one of the best sound designs of any racing game.
not on
Jesus,
stereo speakers, bro. The thing
I,
sounds like absolute shit. It sounds like a
jeez.
muffled. Like imagine like taking all the surround sound and putting it in one output.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's what you're getting. Like it just sounds like just noise, just straight noise. Like uh imagine if you're like trying to listen to the radio outside of your car while
Yeah.
running alongside it. That's what that shit sounds like.
Oh
Uh
man. I see I haven't so the first thing I like when I became an adult, right? And like moved out and stuff. The first thing I got was a sound system because for me sound is more important than visual. I'd rather it sound good and have myself squint at a small TV versus looking great and sounding like ass. Um, hence, like a lot of my things, I just
this
need it.
fucking guy,
So
you're like sound is life, bro. That's all I'm
it
saying.
is. I try not to have the audio file in me come out like when I'm at other people's houses because not everyone like takes sound as seriously as I
They
do.
don't know. They
But
just don't know.
then I'm like
Then you
when
have like
people are
people
like,
like
"Hey, you want to
me
come over
who
and watch a
know.
movie?" I'm like, "Nah." you know, I'm like
Oh,
respectfully decline, but in my head I'm like, "Nah, I'll watch it here where I could have the full sound."
that's yeah. I have my backup 2.1 for a movie with the bass.
See, it shouldn't be a backup, brother.
uh,
uh,
I could
so
probably do something, but I'm not going to.
so
Like
you
hook it
said
up
that
and
your mom would say, "I'll turn that down," right?
yeah, the beeps and the boops.
When I was growing up, my dad, where I get the love for audio is my dad. I grew up with 5.1 surround sound like in the living room. So when my parents bought my house, I pretty much grew up in after that. I was when I got older, I got my first job working at Target. The first thing I bought was a surround sound system for my bedroom. My dad was like, "Hey, you have surround sound in your bedroom. That's awesome." So he's like, "Let's get one on the back porch because that's where my dad's hangout was." So we bought
Yeah,
a second surround sound system for the back porch. So every room that I spent
living
time
in
in at my
surround
parents'
sound,
house
dude.
was always like there's at my parents' house right now there are 14 speakers. There's 7.1 in the living
In
room,
every room.
and then there's 5.1 in the bedroom, and then in the basement my dad has another like surround sound setup, and on the front porch he has a smaller surround sound setup. So I mean, like growing up in that environment, it's kind of formed who I am as a person later. That's why I like hearing cars with like new subs in, and they're like, "Doesn't this sound great?" And all I'm hearing when people are turning that shit up is nothing but bass and windows rattling, and I want to punch them in the mouth. Like, no, this
Nothing
is not good audio, you stupid
solves problem.
ass. Yeah, like
It depends on the song. Some songs are just built for bass, basing up them beats, dude.
true, but there's still
Running them 808s.
there's still proper leveling as well. And if all I hear are your windows going, that
The
that's not.
wobble, dude.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm getting off topic for that. But yeah, sound design is one of those things that improved at the tail end of, well, mid of last generation. That where the technology and how the public uh, technology, it's priced well. Like you said, the Atmos system for like a sound bar is what you said, $200 or something like that. So it's pretty cheap.
This like last one. I'm not gonna say what brand or what, but if
Yeah.
you look around, you can find them like between like 299 and like as high as the sky, baby.
Yeah,
Whatever you want it
and I will say, like, you're definitely gonna get more if
to
you
the
get like
moon.
a full Atmos system with true speakers, because you're obviously gonna get better sound from real life speakers. But just the soundbar and the bouncing of it, if your room's properly set up for it, it's actually is passable, and that it's nice, especially for like your situation. It's
I will
nice.
say that the even whatever like their 8.1 sound design for Forza is probably good, but like on my speakers it's shit. What's amazing is the controller rumble, like the new like whatever the extra motors are, the
Hmm.
shit feels great. It feels
Yeah.
so like it feels like you can tell what is going on with the car based on like the controller feedback, where I'm like, oh, my left back tire is like slipping out, let me
Yep.
correct, because of like just how the rumble is going on the controller, dude. Like that's insane. Like I was like, holy shit, dude, this thing feels like I'm trying to hold on to a car, like a little
Yeah.
race car. This is
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, as I said, that's the other thing too. The controllers, the rumble. PS5 is actually everything's like adaptive. So like how good that controller is feeling, the PS5 controller is going to feel that much better. Although I like Xbox's layout more than the PlayStation layout. Of It's just the thumbsticks,
Built for those
But
American hands.
yeah, but
Fat
still,
American
like
hands.
controllers have gotten so much better. Um,
Yeah.
that
Didn't
that's one
they,
thing where,
didn't we
uh,
talk about like that lawsuit that happened with all the
yeah,
controller where they're
with the
making it?
scuffs.
Yeah, charging $180 for a fucking controller, dude.
Yeah,
You
dude,
kidding me?
your peripherals like do matter. People are like, oh yeah, you could use like a $4 controller and do just as
It's the
well.
speakers that
Like,
come on the TV.
yeah, you can, sure, you can play that with that, but you're not gonna have a good experience, in my opinion.
You
But
have an experience.
some people, that's all they know though. So if you know better, it's like what is it? Like you shop like your console, right? Like you grow
It's
up
like
with
booze, bro. Always
right.
stick to
Like you
cheap booze. Like if you never develop a taste for high end booze, like you'll be fine with the
That's
low
the
end.
perfect analogy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like if you start dabbling in the high end booze, when you try and go back to the low end, you're like, this tastes like absolute trash. And like there's a difference, but you'll never know the difference if you just
yeah.
get used to like the bottom shelf liquor.
I feel, yeah, man. It's like that, or like cars too. Like luxury cars. Like if you drive nothing but a Pinto, you're gonna think every car on the Pinto's level's fine. You go up and you drive like a Ferrari one day, and you go back to your Pinto, you're like, damn, this is shit. you know?
Like from my like when I drove the Mustang, like
Yep.
when people see people like driving like like a nicer car, and you're like, why is this person driving like an asshole? Uh, it's because they have so much more control in that car than like what you do. Like it
Yep.
is a difference. Where like I'm driving this car and like I'm like, why the fuck are these people taking this turn so slow? And it's like, oh yeah, because this car's like fucking really nice. And I could like take this turn at like 30, I won't even feel anything, and like it just goes like just smooth. Whereas like they're trying to do that shit in their 1994 Toyota fucking car that's just going like, "Rrr." They're like, what the fuck? I'm gonna wipe out trying to take this turn like that, dude. Like you're insane.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was like just holding the line perfect, like no problems.
Yep.
Uh, the
Yep.
acceleration and like decelerations, like it's just a world of difference that you wouldn't know if you haven't like driven. But like now, like I understand, like it gave me more patience for other drivers. Whereas like, oh, they just have a shitty car. They'll just take it slow. This is fine.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's not that they want to drive terrible, but there are plenty of terrible drivers. But like I think a lot of people don't realize like how bad condition like a lot of cars on the streets are. Like nobody's like doing like all their normal maintenance and tune-ups and shit and like running their shit fine. Everyone's like, ah, whatever. I'll think I was with my I think I told this story on here where I was with my mom and she brought her car out after winter and we're driving around, the fucking engine started overheating. And I
no,
was
you did
like,
not
oh,
say this on the pod. I've,
holy
I've heard this story, but not on the pod.
are you sure? Yeah, so
Go
the
ahead,
car's
go ahead.
overheating. There's like smoke coming out the fucking front. I'm like, Mom, we gotta pull over. This car's fucking smoking. And she's like, oh, do you think I could get down the block? I'm like, no. But she's like, all right, I'm gonna get down the block. And I'm like, all right. So we get part, we pop it open, and I'm like looking at this shit. There's no fluids in this bitch at all. There's no oil, no nothing like nothing, no water. This thing's just like, and I'm like, you're lucky this engine didn't seize up from the lack of
Right.
oil and shit. This is why this thing's running so hot. She's like, oh, I was gonna go put the fluids in, I just forgot. I was like, that's day one shit when you pull your car out of the garage from the winter. Like, uh, it's not a
uh,
polite suggestion when it's like, hey man, check your oil like every
right.
6 months. Like, it's set a reminder, figure it out,
Your mom's
take
the
care of your
best.
shit.
It's
Yeah.
hilarious. Oh man. So with the new consoles, man, do you think at this point in time either are worth a purchase? Let's say you're upgrading from like
No,
the one. Okay.
I
Okay.
would say like just because of the price, the scarcity of them, there's no good next gen games. I would say they're nice to have. Like if you have one, I wouldn't be like, oh, fucking sell it, whatever. Maybe sell it. Like, if you can get like that, if you're willing to go to that weird Shady's, burnt up Denny's, and do an exchange cash only, like that's on. Everybody has their own risk tolerance. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you want to take it to your game stonks and get $4.50 in a trading credit for it, like you're a mad lad, but more power to you. Uh, so yeah, like if you are fortunate enough to have one, there's nothing bad about them. I would say like both the Game Pass, like I have the PlayStation Game Pass on my PC. That sucks ass, but like if you actually have the I just got a notification. But if you actually have like the console, it allows you to download the games just like the Xbox does. So you can run the games in 4K and stuff. So it's both have really great library like selections.
Yeah.
Uh, but you could also just go to your public library and get any of these games as well. Uh, and also like both the Game Passes work on the previous generations, like the
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 or your Xbox Ones. So
I think the
yeah,
best part about the next gen consoles
uh,
is they once again support backwards compatibility. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
um,
that's nice. It was kind of the promise of the PlayStation 3, and then they
mhm.
dropped it with 4, where they're like, oh yeah, that shit's too expensive to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
now hardware wise, they're getting to a
yeah,
point where they can emulate everything just because they're so beefy.
yeah. So I think that if you owned like the previous gen console, you can wait to upgrade. Like for me, unless there's a game that's exclusively on another platform that you don't have and you really want that game, that's when you upgrade. But that could be said about any console launch. Like for me, like I usually need two games before I buy a console. Like I waited to buy the Nintendo Switch until you know, new Mario plus like Bayonetta 3 was announced, and I'm like, okay, boom, grabbing that. And it's opened up my eyes to a whole world of just Nintendo products because I skipped the Wii U. I had a Wii, but that was a little more waggle. It wasn't really true gamer focused, but the
It's
Switch has been my
fun.
favorite console for a while. Um,
Do you still have the Wii? Do you have like the kids playing with the Wii? I feel like that's like the
the Wii,
perfect
the
little
Wii's
kid
in
system.
the Wii's in my parents' house, I think.
It's a
But
landfill.
yeah,
I
no, it's
feel like
fine.
everyone's Wii ended up at their parents' house. Dude. I think my mom's got a Wii. Uh,
Happens, but
yeah, just for like when the nephews come over or the nieces, just,
yep,
here's the
yep,
Wii.
yep.
Like, oh
It
shit.
works, man.
Grandma, grandpa can play Wii
Yep,
bowling with them. It's great.
yep, yep. So nothing wrong. And I think that the problem right now, and this is across everything, is paper launches. Like I don't think the consoles either one. People are shitting on Microsoft for not having any games, right? They'll do fine. They've never made money on an Xbox 360 or Xbox One. They've always their goal is to get you on their platform.
Get you
And
on Game Pass.
Game Pass, Windows, just they that's
Yeah,
their
that's the
goal.
only value there. Like
Yeah,
I said, man,
yeah,
but like that's available like on your phone, on your computer, like
yeah,
on the old Xbox. Like they just want you on that fucking Game Pass,
yeah,
and like that's the
yeah.
only value in the new gen. But like all their big tadpoles are like in December, where they're
Yes,
dropping
yes,
like their new Halo and stuff. So, like I said, it's worth waiting probably a year when
yeah,
there's less of a scarcity. I'd say it's a good value at like MSRP for both the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X.
yeah,
They're a little bit spendy, but it's a new system. They're going to be
yeah.
expensive.
Now
Hopefully, it
there's
drives down the secondary market because like you can't go wrong with like a nice PlayStation 4 or like a
yeah, yeah,
depend like if you're like me who's been on the PC and you're like, oh, do I want to get back into this shit? Don't do it, me from the past. Just
yeah.
live in your bubble. It's fine there. It's
So there's
safe.
been talk of the Xbox Series X and S not being worth it because Microsoft has said that all of their first party releases will get simultaneous PC releases as well, and be crossplay essentially. Does that change your opinion on the value of the console itself?
No, I think it's fine. I think a lot of people enjoy playing games with a controller. A lot of
But you can play a
people,
controller with a controller on PC.
exactly. Uh, yeah, but not everybody wants to deal with everything that comes with the
PC entails,
PC.
right? Yep,
Yeah,
yep. And
and there's nothing wrong with that. Like
and
I
not
like
everyone has like my setup where my PC, I have a HDMI cable running from my PC in my walls up to my TV where I could play PC games on a controller on my TV. I'm the
I
only
think
one I know with that setup. Oh, you do
yeah,
too, right? You have that setup too. But
yeah, where it goes across. Yeah.
yep, yep,
Yeah, that's how we did the pod last time when we were at my place. We just ran them
yeah,
through the wall. I was like, "Yeah, I got everything over here." It didn't
yep.
go quite well, but we figured it out. Some technical
Sure,
difficulties.
sure.
Um, it doesn't change the value proposition for me. I think in 10 years, there probably won't be consoles anymore. Like, is it just going to be everything on cell phone, cellular devices? Like, we talked about this a little bit before the pod, where like Steam has like their new Steam pellet they're talking about, where it's like a handheld Steam device.
Yeah,
Like you look at like what Nintendo Switch is doing with like their new Nintendo Switch, where it's like the screen on there. They're basically modifying like the Tegra chips from
yep,
Nvidia,
yep.
and they're creating like a beefy. I mean, like that's been the dream for a while. Like PlayStation tried it with like their PlayStation phone at one point, where they're like, "Oh, it's a PlayStation controller, but you can also make phone calls on it." And people are like, "Nobody fucking wants this
Wait, wasn't it
PlayStation."
the Nokia made the N Gage was it was a cell phone
There's
plus
an
a
N
console
gauge,
too?
yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
There's been attempts. This has been the dream since the '90s to integrate it all. Uh, Cell phones are fucking powerful now. Like just regular cell phones. Like if it wasn't for all the scummy practices that the platforms allow on them for like their games, I think most people would be playing like next gen games on their cell phone. And I know like
Yeah,
that's what Xbox wants with their Xbox Pass, where they're like I can play the games from my Xbox on my cell phone right now with it. That's
yeah.
kind of cool. Oh, that's the other thing. You have to have a cell phone to sign up for the new Xbox too. So when you get your Xbox, it's like you have to pair this to a cell phone. We're gonna fucking text you a code to start your Xbox. And I was like, what the
Oh,
fuck is this?
that's weird.
I was like, yeah, it's kind of shitty. Like I don't like pairing things to my phone at all. Like it's basically a burner phone. I have it, and I use it for whatever, but I don't. It's mostly an alarm clock, honestly. It's just a glorified. Like I text people on it, but I'm horrible at texting people. I'm bad at communication. I'm just a generally uh, introverted person
Yeah,
living like
yeah,
a terrible life that
yeah.
is great for me.
Which
But
is hilarious because we're doing a podcast where you're front and center. But yeah, go on.
yeah, well, this is why not? Why not
Yeah,
do a
yeah, yeah,
podcast? I have things to say. I just not to the general unwashed masses. Like if we try and stream up a like if you're a random person, me coming up to me at Kmart, and you're like, "Hey man, you see anything about the new Xbox?" I'm like, "Get away from me, dude! I don't I don't have time for this."
for
Like
sure.
I'm very focused on whatever the fuck I'm doing at that time.
I got
So
it.
yeah, man, like you have to pair like your cell phone to your Xbox, and like that's so weird to me. But it's actually kind of nice because it's a solid state hard drive. You have to download all the games for it. There's no disk drive,
Yeah.
and like, well, you can just do all that shit on your phone. Where like,
Yeah.
because it's only 500 gigabytes, like you're gonna have to do some hard drive management. It's kind of nice to just be like, oh, delete this game, start downloading this game while I'm at work. Uh, it's like, oh, while I'm on my break at work, I can stream like a game here onto this. Uh, there's no, it's a great concept, fucking terrible delivery. Whoever the fuck the two teams were, they didn't talk to each other at all. Like none of the touch shit on a phone works on this. When you like go onto your Xbox, it's like, oh, show me my Xbox screen, and you like try and scroll. It's like, we don't do that, dog. You try and like tap things. It's like, no, you gotta pair a fucking Xbox controller to your cell phone to use your fucking cell phone as a screen for your
I
controller.
actually know a little bit about that. It's
Yeah, and I'm
getting
like,
better. Not every game supports it. You're right, but yeah.
it's fucking stupid. It's like, give me on-screen touch controls. Make this all just a, even their fucking sign up page, dude. Like when you're entering your date of birth on Xbox, uh, you get to enter in the numbers for the month, the day, and then for the year, it's a drop down fucking menu, dude. Like I'm like, what the fuck? And it's not like you can type in like, oh, whatever. It's like you have to like click through everything. Same for cities. It's like, oh, it makes you type in everything else. It's like, give us your address. You type it in, type it in, type it in. And then you get to the city. No, it's the state. You get to the state, and it's like, here's a drop down menu. Figure it out, bitch. And you're like, you have to like go all the way through that fucking thing, dude. Uh, I'm like, who designed this? What the fuck? Like, what? You just said, why can't I just give you the two fucking letters for the postal code? It's
Yeah.
two letters. You made
Jesus.
me type in a fucking city that's like 12 letters, dude. Like, are you like worried about these last two? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then like it has like the Google Correct thing. So like I enter everything and it's like, actually, this might be a better uh postal
That is
code
weird.
based on,
Yeah.
and I'm like, why the fuck would you make me do all this other shit?
If you're
You're
gonna
an
tell me what's
asshole.
better.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't know. So it's just weird, like baffling design decisions like that, where it's like,
But what you said though, those are all like first time setup things, right? So you'll
yeah,
basically never have to do that again.
yeah, everything except for like the cell phone interface. The cell phone interface is a great concept, terrible execution so
Yeah.
far. Like you're saying, like they're updating things, they're fixing things. Uh, I'm sure like they're taking feedback with stride, like good feedback.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, this is broken, it doesn't work. Like this is a baffling design decision. Who the fuck would think of this stupid shit? Why would you give me the autocorrect? You
Yeah.
know, they don't want to hear that shit. They just want to hear like, how can we make this experience better?